Hello world, my name is Tim Roswick, and I was rolling around in my car, bumping some Eminem, and Lose Yourself came on. And Lose Yourself was a pretty popular song. It's one of those songs that I listened to 1,000 times. I memorized it. But at the beginning of that song it says, you've got one shot, one opportunity. This is everything you ever wanted. One moment. You capture it, or just let it slip. And it made me realize that, like, that's how people think about success and failure. That's how people think about their creative journey. They look at it as this like binary thing. Like, I'm gonna go all in on this, and if it doesn't work out, then I'm gonna go work at McDonald's, right? Or I'm gonna try this, and we're gonna see, and then if I fail, damn it, man. And it made me realize I used to think this way. I used to think about how I personally would, like, some of the impacts that the failure would have on me, like whether they would be, I don't know, I had like worries of like people abandoning me, or like me ruining my reputation, or like with I didn't even have a reputation when I was worrying about these things. I was like, what if people hate it, and then like everything I ever do from that point will just be like horrible. And like, little did I know, my biggest problem would just be getting anybody to care about my stuff at all, right? It doesn't even matter like whether they like it or not. They've never even heard of you. That's the biggest problem with when you're dealing with 7 billion people on an interconnected web of technology. But it also made me realize that success and failure, like, they're not binary. They're not. The other day we posted a video about how there's no real good or bad games. There's just compatibility of different things, right? Different people like different things, and some people overlap with this game, some people overlap with that game. They both would hate the other game, but that doesn't make them bad games. And it made me realize success and failure is the same thing. There's lots of spectrums of it, right? So it made me realize a couple things. One, failure is really a stupid word, because the only real failure is trying something, not getting the result you want, and then stopping, right? If you really think about failure as what actually is it, you need the stopping part. Because if you don't stop after you try something and then you try again, it's a learning experience. It's not really like a failure. Like, you did something, it didn't have the result you want, and so it became a thing that you learned, that you carried into your next project, right? It's not like, I guess failure means different things to different people. Like, if you've got a quantitative goal, like I want to make $100 on my first game, right? And you make 50, then you learned that was something you did wrong, right? You didn't meet your goal. Your expectations and the reality were not in alignment, right? It's a failure in the sense that you didn't meet your requirements. But it's not, it goes back to the Eminem song, one shot, one opportunity. No, that's the thing though, is you have unlimited shots and unlimited opportunities. You can do it again and again and again and again and again. And there's a reason why it's common practice in games to recommend that people start small. Start with small games, not mortgage their house trying to go into indie game development and do all that shit, because failure is almost always about learning. And I think failure is the wrong word, to be honest. I don't think failure is a good word to use. I just think it's experience, right? Failure is experience. That's what it is. And it's experience that maybe has an expectation that you don't really like, right? I remember I've been messing around on my iPad of drawing and stuff. And I have this idea for like drawing or an animal for Battle Barn Tactics. And I'm just like, hey, I want to try this thing. And then I do it, and it doesn't turn out the way that I want. But almost always what I've realized is that if I stick to the thing that's in my head and I just keep trying to do that, it almost always never works out as good as if I kind of follow the issues and kind of go with what the game wants to be. So like, or the piece of art. So like sometimes I'll draw something and I don't really know what I'm drawing, but I'll be like, oh, that part is cool, right? And then I wanted to make this other thing, but now that I saw this thing, I'm going to make that thing. And so I'm just going to kind of follow that down. And what technically could be called a failure, because my original goal was to make this one thing, thing A. Now I'm making thing B. And if I look at purely at the expectations of what I want versus what I created, it's a failure. But I've realized that as an entrepreneur and as an artist and as all these things, like one of my major advantages in life is my perspective on how failure works. I haven't posted about this at all, really, and I probably should share more of that, but I don't think of things in these binary terms of failure and success. But I've applied to Indie Mega Booth, I've applied to publishers, I've sent emails to dozens and dozens, probably hundreds at this point of people. I've applied for awards, I've applied for like all kinds of stuff. I got no's or no reaction to like fucking an epic shit ton of stuff. An epic shit ton of stuff. I realized that some people take those things and quit. They say, hey, you know what? I wanted to make a game. This game is too big for me to make on my own, so I want a publisher. I'm going to apply to publisher. And then they send an email to the publisher, they never get a response, and they get extremely discouraged and they quit. And some of them join other fields, or some of them just like, well, we tried. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Insert Steve Carell gif when he yells at Toby. No. If you want to be successful, and I hate the term successful too, by the way, because that's the same problem on the other spectrum. What the fuck does that mean? So let's reframe that. Do you want to be consistently profitable, right? You have to build on the things you've done before, and you have to learn from things that didn't turn out the way you wanted. And what happens in these failures is you do a thing with a certain expectation, you get a different result. Your understanding of the world and the sandbox that you play in suddenly becomes closer to reality. You understand the systems, right? It's like in a video game where it's like you've got a sword and you don't know what it does, and then you like hit an enemy with it and you're like, oh, that's what it does, right? And there are a lot of subtleties to how that sword works. Maybe some swords are like really slow and powerful, some swords are really quick but really light. And it takes the experimentation to understand the different weapon types, to understand like where they're applicable to what enemies, right? If you're fighting a really fast enemy, that really slow sword animation is not going to be good. And life is kind of the same way. And these failures, like if you looked at how you play a game and you think, you know, dying at an enemy or not being able to take out the enemy as effectively as someone else as a failure, and you quit right there, well shit, man, you're not going to have fun playing games at all, right? You got to learn to like play the system, play the sandbox, learn to understand the system. And that's what failures are. That's what these things are. Like they're different results from an expected outcome. They're not stop points. They're not end points, right? They're just, hey, you learned a thing. So you thought a thing, you did a thing, and now you learned a thing. So now your thinking shifts, right? Now you think it a slightly different way, a different thing, right? So the next time you try, it's starting to like aim your light, right? It's turning your light bulb into a laser. And the more experiments you do, the more rapidly, the more iteration you go through, the more you can kind of aim that laser properly and understand why and how that works. And I think it applies to entrepreneurship and business and life and all that stuff, not just games, but it just, this whole concept of one shot, one opportunity, while I love Eminem, is the worst way you could possibly look at it. Because you have unlimited shots, unlimited opportunities. And every time that I think about, like, it's made me really realize, like, when people ask what do you do to be successful? And I say, I do this or do this and whatever, and or you know, different people. When you ask them what they did to get their result, a lot of times they don't understand the intricacies of what they did. And I realize that my perspective on failure is part of what has helped me do like everything that I've done, because I don't look at failure in the same way as I think a lot of people do, right? Like, I just think of it as a lesson, and a lot of people take it to heart. A lot of people, they quit, and I think that's the ultimate failure, is quitting, stopping, right? If you stop, you don't ever have a chance to succeed. But if you keep going, if you keep at it, if you take 1,000 shots and 1,000 opportunities, your odds are higher. But that's all I got for you. My name is Tim Roswick. I want to say thank you to the Patreons. I want to shout out you lovely people. You guys are amazing. You help me keep doing what I'm doing. If you want to be a part of Patreon, you want help finishing, building, launching your game, you can check out patreon.com/GameDevUnderground. My name is Tim Roswick. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.